Good happy Tuesday morning, May 10th, 2022. I'm Riley King. Welcome to this Tuesday morning edition of your morning news update right here on the Riley King Radio Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Tuesday morning, so let's get started right now. First up, as COVID cases rise in New Hampshire, health officials say testing key to controlling spread. Hospitals not rising as quickly as in other surges. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
This is My Brave. It's a live storytelling event about mental health and substance misuse recovery. Join us at the Bank of New Hampshire stage in Concord, New Hampshire on May 25th. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit riverbendcmhc.org.
For 2 years, Granite Staters have been trying to navigate the twists and turns of a COVID pandemic, with some people like Emily Theron saying that figuring out when to test is another challenging aspect.
But overall, I think the at-home tests can be helpful so that you know sooner rather than later.
Testing resources and testing recommendations have always been a source of confusion for people in general.
Even doctors admit it's hard to keep track of testing recommendations as strategies continue to change. While PCR tests remain the gold standard for accuracy, the state's epidemiologist says rapid tests are also quite accurate, as long as they're taken at the right time.
We recommend that somebody seek out testing maybe around day 5 or so after a known exposure to identify that infection early.
But Dr. Chan says if you're showing symptoms, it's good to take one of those antigen tests immediately. Right now, case numbers are surging across the state, but hospitalizations remain low compared to previous spikes, like in January when we reached a high of 433. Nevertheless, some are still concerned about the ongoing threat.
I am concerned about it, because it's airborne. You have to get it done, And people are not going to say, oh, I have COVID.
However, doctors say this surge is likely to be different than the last one.
From this increase we've seen the last several weeks, that this will likely be a more limited increase and of a shorter duration potentially than what we saw in the past.
You need to stop the transmissions because, that is what's going to stop from more variants from coming out.
And doctors say the Omicron B2 subvariant is still the most prominent strain. And while they're expecting this current surge to be a little less severe than previous ones, they're still hoping people will take it seriously. Live in Manchester tonight, Scott Cook, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. One person dies of COVID-19 as average new cases per day rise in New Hampshire. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
This is My Brave. It's a live storytelling event about mental health and substance misuse recovery. Join us at the Bank of New Hampshire stage in Concord, New Hampshire on May 25th. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit riverbendcmhc.org.
And New Hampshire is now averaging more than 500 new cases per day for the first time since Valentine's Day. The announced nearly 1,300 new cases over the weekend. Active cases are down slightly from Friday to about 3,900, and there's one new death to report tonight. 91 people with COVID are in New Hampshire hospitals right now. 21 are receiving COVID-specific treatment.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire parents concerned by ongoing shortage of baby formula. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
What does it take to be the best? It takes guts.
There are limits on infant formula if you can find it. Supply and demand from COVID worsened by a recent recall.
And in the past couple of weeks, we Haven't been able to find it on Amazon at all.
What was easy to find for Annie, born in 2020, is much more difficult to secure for her 2-month-old sister Claire. And today, Mom and Dad not able to find her formula in any Portsmouth stores either.
So I think we're going to go ahead and try just, a Target brand or a different brand of something similar and hope she has an iron stomach.
Unfortunately, not an option for 7-month-old Anthony of Guilford, who can only tolerate one specific type.
He literally needs this to survive, and we can't even get it for him. It's just crazy.
With just a few days' supply left, coming up empty at stores and on the internet.
We just don't know what to do, and it's terrifying, because he's a baby. It's not a choice that he's made to be on this formula.
Most of the recommended guidelines say that babies should be formula or breastfed exclusively through 6 months of age.
Dr. Ann Berry of Derry Medical Center says it's okay to switch brands, but not to switch between milk and soy-based formulas. She recommends against buying overseas or anything not FDA regulated, including homemade recipes that are circulating, but shares some optimism.
I think that this is going to be something that's short-lived.
Now, a check of the websites of major brands shows that they are increasing production, but for those with very specific needs, it is still a daily battle. Families with concerns are urged to contact their practitioners. Reporting live in Portsmouth, Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Brush fire danger increases in New Hampshire as weather improves. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
What does it take to be the best? It takes guts.
Smoke billowing out of the mountainside in Shelburne. A fast-moving brush fire continues to burn across 22 acres, part of the White Mountain National Forest. Crews spent hours battling the flames and smoke to no avail today. This is just one of many fires keeping state fire officials busy. Chief Steve Sherman with the New Hampshire Fire Protection Bureau says conditions don't look to be improving in the next few days either.
With the dry conditions and the winds, we're teetering right on very high, so it's something to be aware of for people and to not really do any burning right now.
Manchester firefighters also spending much of the afternoon trying to control a fire in the woods near Mason Street and Black Acres. An 8.5-acre stretch of land burning for several hours before crews could get things under control. The threat very real across the state.
A small fire can grow very quickly and become a big fire.
Signs in Merrimack are warning people to be extra cautious. Things like campfires and burning debris or yard waste is strongly discouraged this week. A lack of significant rain combined with a relatively dry early spring means a small spark could lead to a big problem.
There's not much moisture in the ground right now, and when there is a fire outside, it does travel quickly.
Right now, fire permits are still being issued, but people are being encouraged to wait until conditions get a little greener before actually burning. Live in the studio, I'm Nicole Lally, WMUR News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire's congressional delegation says abortion ruling could threaten other rights. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
My old roof was an asphalt roof. It was really starting to look ragged. It's an island house. I wanted it to blend in better. So
this is what is at stake here.
New Hampshire's 4-member, all-Democratic congressional delegation says if the U.S. Supreme Court overturns the Roe v. Wade decision that legalized abortion, it could be just a first step.
There is no doubt that it opens the door for decisions around family planning, contraceptive care, that it opens the door to decisions around same-sex marriage, around many other rights that right now we believe are enshrined because of the Supreme Court.
The delegation says its constituents are also outraged and concerned, especially in light of proposals in other states like Louisiana to classify abortion at any time after fertilization as homicide.
You don't even know what is coming. Thousands of women in this state have had miscarriages that are so private and so personal, members of their family don't even know. And now the government is going to come in and make that decision.
But these Democrats are also tempering expectations for their political base, saying that if the overturn of Roe v. Wade comes as expected, there isn't much they're going to be able to do about it in the near future, given the narrow balance of power in the U.S. Senate.
There isn't a switch that we can just flip to undo this right away, but we've got to commit ourselves to this fight in the months and years to come, because this is just about basic freedom, fundamental rights.
This is the third full delegation press conference on the abortion issue in the last several months. Pro-life activists say the senators and reps keep saying the same thing, and they contend they are losing the moral argument.
Whenever I hear these sound bites in these discussions, I don't hear anything about what about the baby. And so that's the fundamental thing, is what about the baby?
In Concord, Adam Sexton, WMUR News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. U.S. nears 1M COVID-19 deaths. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
If you have psoriasis, it's time to see the possibilities with Taltz.
Turn now to the pandemic and the alarming new numbers tonight on COVID here in the U.S. New COVID cases are now up more than 20% across the country. In fact, cases rising now in at least 45 states. What they're now seeing already in New York City and Boston, and these are just the cases being reported. What about the tests at home? There's also news on pediatric hospital admissions just coming in tonight. Here's ABC's Eva Pilgrim.
Tonight, the U.S. nearing a grim milestone, 1 million COVID deaths. The National Cathedral tolling the funeral bell 1,001 times to remember the lives lost. More than 997,000 people have died from COVID in this country. Experts expect we will cross the 1 million mark within the next week. And tonight, new COVID cases climbing. Nearly the entire country, 45 states and territories are seeing at least a 10% increase in COVID infections. The current hotspot, the Northeast. Boston officials recommending but not yet mandating a return to masks indoors, as some parts of the city are now considered high risk.
We are in a time where we're learning to live with COVID.
In New York City, the transmission rate up 75% since last month, the highest level since the Omicron surge in January. The mayor monitoring the spread as he considers a return to the mask and vaccine mandates.
While we've seen this surge in cases, we're not seeing that correlated impact in mortality. The challenge we have is going forward, especially into the summer months, where we may see an impact in the South, where we don't have the same level of vaccination and boosting and testing.
71-year-old Shep Shove experienced a breakthrough infection. He's been fully vaxxed and boosted, but 12 days ago tested positive for COVID.
It just kept getting worse for another couple of days, and then it stopped getting worse.
He says Paxlovid helped keep him out of the hospital.
Yeah, what would it have been like if I hadn't had 3 vaccines and the Paxlovid? So I have to think it would have been pretty bad.
Yeah, a lot of people turning to Paxlovid now that it's more readily available. Eva with us tonight. And Eva, we've just learned hospital admissions among children up 15% in just a week. Cases in children up 70% in 2 weeks. And Eva, I know there's real concern here that this new wave is actually much steeper, because these are just the cases that authorities know about. Obviously, many people are now testing at home, just getting through it on their own, and the numbers likely are far higher.
David, experts caution the numbers may be higher than we know because a lot of these cases aren't being reported. Either people aren't being tested or, as you said, they are testing at home. One expert telling us he wouldn't be surprised if the numbers were actually higher than during Delta. David?
All right, Eva Pilgrim following this for us. Eva, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for your morning news update right here on the Riley King Radio Network. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Have a great day, everyone, and goodbye.